All right, everyone, welcome back to part two. You're a survivor. You made it to part two. Congratulations. Let's start with the hat, and I believe that's called a sailor's hat. I maximize the sides, and that's all we're going to do with that one, except now we're going to change the dimensions. 3.5 for this, 3.5, and 14 for the width, 14, and 17. And I believe it's 17 because it has to go all the way back across its head. So that's there. Let's change it to blue. That's blue enough. Now we're going to need a sphere, so let's go ahead and grab this. We're going to make it white, of course. And of course, we got to maximize the steps. Now let's change the dimensions. The height's going to be 7. Now, when I finished this hat, I wasn't quite sure I liked it, but we're going to keep on going with it. The depth's going to be 24. All right, so now I'm going to align these two. I'm going to select both of them by clicking and dragging. I'm going to click the letter L. You can also click there, and there, and there. And all right, I'm going to click away, move this up. Let's see, how much? 0.5. Yeah, let's go there. Okay, now technically there's a little black one here. So I'm going to duplicate this, raise it up. This is the button that you can find up there. I'm going to hit Shift. And let's move it up again. All right, let's make it black so it'll be easier to see here. And move it up. And theoretically, it should be at its center there. Okay, so for this next part, we're making the little ribbon thing that hangs down on the side. I'm not going to give you any numbers because I want you to see the idea behind this, okay? Because we're going to use this idea later on. So check this out. I'm going to start off with the block. And then, let me raise this up a little bit so we can have a better view. Okay, so now I'm going to move this block here, but I'm going to click the letter T to make it transparent so you can see what I'm going to do here. I'm going to have this edge go to right there where this button is. Okay, that's not bad. I'll just do a little bit more. Okay, now the fun begins. This is the idea. I'm going to make a ribbon out of this thing. That is the amazing part. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to rotate, well, maximize the sides, right. Rotate. Okay, so maybe what I'm going to try to do is follow the path of the ribbon using this cylinder. Okay, so I want it to start right there, and then I want it to go right about there. Again, what I'm looking at is here and the edge. I think I went too high over here, so I'm going to move it down a little bit. Okay, so there you go. That's what I'm doing so far. Now, let me make sure I have this covered here. I'm going to drag this over. Oops, don't want that moved. What I want is this side to be extended and this side to be extended. Okay, now I'm going to group these two. This one's already selected, so I'm going to hold Shift down and click this, Control G, or that button right there. Okay, so now part of the ribbon is done. Yay. Okay, let's get rid of another part of this. Again, for the ribbon, all we're doing is getting rid of parts. So this one, let's say right about there. I want the ribbon to end right there. Okay, so no, again, I'm going to group these two. Okay, so it was pretty easy to get rid or get this part of the ribbon, right? That part of the ribbon was fine. Now, how do I get the top part to be curved? Well, the trick is to use the existing shape that I just made to get rid of the previous part. So let me do that again. I'm going to duplicate this, Control D, and I change it into a hole. Now I'm going to move it up just a little bit. All right, so now you see I've made a sliver here. And I'm going to rotate just a little bit. And then I'll move it down a little bit right there. Okay, now also when you print this, there's a good chance that it's gonna break because thin things when you print plastic will not work. I'm gonna redo this because I don't want to take out another block specifically for that. So I'm just gonna drag this over here. Okay, and group. Now I do have to take out a block for this, so that's fine. I'm not totally bitter about that, but I will survive. Notice I'm just gonna get off the part I don't want. I'm just gonna delete it. This is already selected, so I'm gonna hit Shift, hold it down, and then Control G, or that button there. Okay, so we're getting closer. I'm going to drag this right about there, move it up, move it out, duplicate it, Control D, drag it over, and then drag this over, because now I'm making the thinness of the ribbon. This is already selected, so I'm going to hit Shift, hold it down, and then click there, click the red thing, and then group. It's almost done. Now I'm going to take one of these. What do they call these? A roof. I'm going to take a roof, or triangular prism, and I'm going to make it a hole. So rotate 90, and then I'm just going to move it up. I think you see what I've done, right? You can see it. Let's make it wider here and here, and then, all right. So now we've gone from a block to a ribbon. This idea has helped me make so many shapes that don't exist in Tinkercad. So please try it. I'll try to change the color back, but there it is. Okay, so I'm going to group these. Oops, let me group these. Control G, and I want the color to come back, so let's go with the multicolor. Great. That does not affect printing at all. It just looks cool. So let's move it over here, the hat, and I believe I'm going to tilt the hat. Let's see how much I'm going to tilt it. Oh, too far forward. I'm using the arrow keys to move this back. I'm going to hit there. Oh, it sounds and looks French. Oh. But he's a sailor, so I'm not going to talk like a sailor because this is rated G. All right, so there you go. Not bad. Maybe a little bit over because it looks like it's going to fall off. All right, great. Now, if you want to make it bigger, you want to adjust that, you want to make it however you want to, you do that. Okay, you make it cool. Now, this is the part that I think most of you are like, how did he do that? Well, let's go ahead and show you. I'm going to start off with, can you guess? Can you guess? Of course, a block, and of course, blue is what we're going to go with. Now here are the dimensions for this particular block. His height's going to be 20, which it already is. The width is going to be 34, as well as the depth. So 34, got it. Now we're going to make a cylinder hole. Well, we're just going to get one. Maximize the sides. Let's rotate this 90 degrees. Stuff that is not hard to do. Now the actual dimensions of this hole is, well, they're going to be 32 in height, so 32. And then we're going to go with 31. 31. And the depth, I'm making 50 just because I want to make sure I don't, I have enough space here. That's what I want. So I'm going to drag this over. And I'm going to check with the sides to make sure that it is going all the way through. Now, here's the part that you guys need to know. Okay, -20 is what it says here. I'm not sure I believe this. So how should we do this? I know. Control, I'm going to drag this over here because I just want to make sure I don't get this wrong. Control D, Shift. That's what I chose, really? Okay, so 20, let's start. Here's my trick. I'm gonna click the letter W. Check this out. Don't get all weirded out. Letter W. Oh, I know. Sorry. I'm gonna click the letter D there. Now the height of this was 32, so I'm gonna make this -32, right? There. Now I'm gonna move this up. I'm gonna change the snap grid first of all to 5. I'm going to hit the control and go control up arrow 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. That seems like it's too much. So One. Here's what I need. I'm gonna select both of these. Click the letter L to align, or that one, and I want it to be the center there. My goal here, I'm not sure if you see how tall this is. So I left 5 millimeter up here, 5 millimeter. Okay, this is good here, we're good. Now, I want to check this out against the other one. Now, I'm going to undo this so you can see all my shapes here. So let's go ahead, undo. There's one. I'm going to get rid of that. Undo. There's more. I'm going to get rid of that. And there. Does that look? Let me click the letter D. Does that look like what we just did right there? It looks almost exactly. Pretty good. All right, deleted. Whew. Okay, so what did we do? I'm going to hit Control and up arrow. That's the same exact height as that one, but remember I changed the snap grid to 5, and then I went Control or Command down arrow. I went there, and then I aligned it. Okay, now let's continue with the tutorial. Now with this one, I'm going to duplicate this, Control D, and then I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Now with this one, I am also going to align to the center. So this is already selected. I'm going to click on the box also with holding down the shift. Now I'm going to click the L. Now before I do anything else, I want this box not to move. So I'm going to click on it. Now I only have one choice. It's that one. Now for this one, I'm going to move it up, but it's not going to be by 5. I'm going to go by 1. Okay. So I'm going to control this. And let's zoom in. How far did we want? I want you to check this out. All right, that is not bad. So essentially, I left just enough space right here. Do you see that? That's enough space for what we're going to do next. Okay, so now I'm going to group all of these. Control G. Great. It's working so far. I think you're starting to see what I'm doing here. Okay, so now here's what I'm going to do. Remember I told you before with the collars, like, okay, I got the shape at the bottom, but how do I get the shape at the top? Well, this is how you do it. I'm going to duplicate. Let's move this over here more. I'm going to duplicate this thing right here. Control D, make it a hole, and move it up. Now I'm going to hit Shift and move that up 1. Okay, now let's look at it from the side. You cannot just group these two, because if you do, you're going to have an indentation like the letter L right here. So what you want is you need to move it back down so you can see what we're going to be doing here. Okay. Now this looks like it has a nice little ring. Okay, and there's a small chance though, that we'll have some little leftovers, but let's go ahead and try it. Let's see how it works. I'm grouping. I selected both of them. Now I'm going to hit group. Oh, see? There was some left over there. So let's undo that. And mind you, this happens all the time. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this a little bit taller by 1. I moved it up by 1. And I'm also going to move that down by 1. Now let's see if that's going to affect anything. Hopefully it does. Okay. Group. Okay, why isn't it doing that? Okay, so I'm going to undo that. What am I missing here? What am I missing? Oh, let's try this. Sorry, I know you can't see that. There. I'm going to move this down and see if that'll do anything. Oh, I think that's what it needed to do. I think it needed to go past here, but at the same time, this needs to be a little bit thicker, so I'm going to move that out a little bit. And then this one here out a little bit. Oh, and this is going by 1, so let's go ahead and adjust this 2.1 so that we have more forgiveness here. When we're moving, it's a little gentler. Okay, this should work. There's no blue left here. There's some blue left there, so you see what I'm talking about right here? And this one over here, there's some blue left there. We don't want any blue left. Okay, let's see if this worked. Control G. Oh, so close. I want to cry. Now later. Okay, so what do we need to do? Oh, drag it down a little bit. Tell you what, I think if I do this, I'm going to click on the outside thing, and then I'm going to control arrow down. Now, that should be enough. Mind you, this is how I figured it out, mind you, little by little. I did this. So I'm going to click on this, click the letter D. Alrighty, so we got the first part. Did I do that right? Okay, good. I feel like it should be lower. I'm going to undo this. I want more space down here. I'm going to drag this down by 5. Sorry, guys. When I see it, it just doesn't look right. So I'm going to hit Control and down arrow. There. Oops, did not mean that part. So, okay. What do I have here? Blue? Oh, this is the one we don't want. This one, D. Okay, guys. Sorry. I know some of you are like, what? I work so hard. I work so hard. Okay, and let's move it down. One more. Okay. I don't know. I just feel like it should go down a little bit more. So, sorry guys, but that's how I experiment. My bad. So I went down a little bit. Now this should not affect the overall directions because the steps are all the same. I'm just changing the look. So I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to make it go up a little bit. Make that a whole. Okay, we have that. Remember last time's error? Sorry. I'm going to move it down a little bit. And then I'm going to move it out so I can get some width right there and some distance here. Great, great. This needs to go past that. You guys remember our last error? So let's bring it down a little bit. That is not a little bit. That's a lot. Change that to 0.1. Okay, move it down a little bit. Oh, I'm moving it away. My bad. Move it down a little bit. Okay. Oh, yeah, a little bit more. See, that's still sticking out there. I think we are good enough here. Okay, let's go ahead and group. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna do the thing I did last time. I'm gonna do down arrow or control down arrow and then group, control G. There, I learned from last time. Great. Let's move on because I'm tired of this already. Let's go ahead. Move up, move forward. And again, the numbers don't matter as long as, actually no, let's go ahead and move this to 30. And we're going to rotate this 22.5. Let's start here. And let's go this way, 22.5. And let's drag this over here. Actually, no, here. And then we got to drag it down. Okay. Now what we want is for this right here, this top part, to be touching right there. Right there. You see it? Okay. Almost. Let's get a better view. Okay, good. Now let's do the same thing on the other side. Control D, letter M, move it over. And let's zoom in here so we can see it better. Oops, too much. Okay. Now we're going to group these two right here. All these three, sorry. Okay, now we have part of it. Now, we're going to do the same thing we did before because now we need that white thing to go across. So I'm going to duplicate this, Control D, and I'm going to change it to, actually, now that I remember, we need 3 of these. My bad. And then I'm going to duplicate it again. This one's going to be a hole. And then we're going to move that up. And then we're going to move this. Let's move it by 1. Let's see what it looks like. 1 millimeter. So let's say Let's go 34. And then this one over here. It does matter where you click on this. So let's make it 33.5. Because if you move it over here, if you click on it here, it moves it this side. If you click it over here, it moves that side. Right now, we're not bad. Now, I don't like this curve, so let's move this up so it's, I don't know, consistent all the way around. I'm gonna look at it from the bottom, F, bottom. So let's see if we can get a better rotate. That's better. Okay, that looks better, but let me try. Let me try moving this down. Okay, I like this part and this part. I don't like this part, so I'm going to move this just a little bit this way. And over here, what does this look like? A little bit that way. Okay, so now the fun part begins. Let me move this out of the way because I feel like I'm going to mess it up right now. What we want is to make a hole on this thing exactly where this thing is. So I'm going to move this down so that it's just barely covering. You see how it got dark right there? That's what we want. What we don't want is this right here. Okay, we don't want blue to stick out. But turn it to the side. I want you to see underneath here. This right here tells us nothing is going through. So I'm going to click. I selected the hole. I duplicated it. Now I'm going to move it over with the arrow key. Duplicate it again. And then duplicate it again. So now this side is gone. So now I'm going to start over here on this side. I'm going to select this one. And I'm going to duplicate it and then move it to the left with the arrow key. Duplicate it, move it to the left. Duplicate it, move it to the left. Now, what I want ultimately is for there to be nothing here. I'm going to do it again. I'm just going to hit Control D there. So right here, that means there's going to be a hole right there. Now, if I did it correctly, there should be a hole up here. Let's see if this works. I'm going to group everything, Control G. And I did not do it correctly. What am I missing here? Near the top. Okay, so I'm going to undo. And this one, I'm going to shrink a little bit because I wanted to get more of the inside. So there, and then over here, the one that's closest to this, that one, I want to shrink it a little bit. Okay, let's see what we got. I'm telling you guys, this is different, but we're making something a little unusual with the shapes that we're putting together. So we have to do some unusual things. I'm going to group this, and let's see if we got most of the thing. Okay, we didn't get this in the front, but now I'm just going to bring this over, and I'm going to attack it. Okay, so right now it won't delete it because it's not actually touching it. There, when it turned gray, it'll delete part of the front, and will it delete the back? Yes, it will. So now, I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but back here, letter F, okay, right there, it's still some there. So I'm going to duplicate this one and then move it out. Actually, let's zoom in here. Now I'm going to move this to the left, and I want to get that little piece that's sticking out right there. Okay, almost done. Control G, there you go. Thanks for sticking by. Okay, we have our little outline that we're going to put on this thing right there. Now, if you notice, they're the exact same size. So you need to move this up, over, and I'm going to shrink it a little bit. So Shift and down. Let's just center these there and there. Oh, I missed that one. L, there, and there. Now, too big, right? So I'm going to shrink it some more because I want it to be closer to the center. So I'm going to click away, click the white thing, and move it down. All right, this part's fine. I think it's not even touching that, so I'm going to go forward, down here. And then this one I'm going to move forward so you can see it. And then this part backwards so you can see it. Okay. there is the idea. Now, if you want to make it smaller, which, fine, you can. The reason I say smaller is because there's a little bit of a thicker blue here between the bottom end of this thing and, yeah, let's stick this out, and the white part. Okay, so that part's done. I'm going to group it, Control G, and then I'm going to make sure that it's multicolor. There it is. Now, this should go here and up. Nothing like the contrast of an angry Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and his cute little suit. Let's move that down a little bit forward. Okay. Still down a little bit. And I think I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Okay. When I'm coloring this, it'll be blue, so that part doesn't bother me. Okay, so there, now the tie. We're gonna start off with the marshmallow, and I'm sorry, a cylinder, maximize this, maximize that, turn that into 6, and we're gonna make that red. We're gonna rotate it 90 degrees, and then we're gonna change the shape. I think if I, let me check my numbers here, 90 degrees, yeah. And then this is gonna be 4, if I remember correctly. 4, yep. All right, let's move that up and shift backwards. Oops, there. Now what I used for the part that looks like the necktie around the neck, I changed that. All right, so for this one, I need the sides are gonna be right there. And for this one, the height of the cone is gonna be 9. And the width is gonna be 6. And the depth is gonna be 3. 3. There you go. Now we're going to rotate this negative 135. 135. There. Let's move this up. Move this over. And I'm going to click the letter F to zoom in. And then I need to still be able to see that right there. And then I'm going to rotate this. Don't have a number, so let me undo it so you guys can see what number I'm using here. 20 looks good, although it's not covered yet, so let's move this up. And it looks like we need to do it more because it's sticking out of his chest. Oh no. You know what? I'm gonna have to make it skinnier for some reason. Oh, because this one's a little bit less as thick as the previous one. All right, so we're gonna have to move that there. And let's move that back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate it from this angle here. There you go. And then rotate it from this angle there. Then move it down. And then move it again some more. Nope, a little bit. And now move it back out of his chest. Okay, so that's hidden. Now I'm going to click Control D, letter M, move it over, and shift. Okay, now we need, obviously, the part of the tie that's loose and curved. So pay attention to this one because this one's another little weird one. Shape generators, we're gonna go to the one here that's called extrusion, move it here. I'm gonna grab this little circle and then move it so that it's right around there. Good. Now I'm gonna move this down to 5, make it red. All right, so let's see the dimensions here. We have, let's just change this dimension to 12 to make it an even number. Great. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a block and give it the same dimensions. So this one was what? 12 by 20, so let's make that 12. All right, and we're going to take a cylinder and we're going to maximize the sides. I know. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Let's rotate it that way and let's give it exactly the same dimensions, 9 and 20. I believe that was what we did before. I'm going to group these two. L, group these two. All right, this red one looks like it's bigger. Oh, What size should this be? 12. Ah, that means this one should be 12. My bad. How come you guys didn't tell me? L. There. Now we have a little bit of what we want. I'm gonna group these two. And then, check this out. No. I need to move this circle down a little bit because I don't want that line right there. I'm gonna move it down. There. I'm gonna group, Control G. I'm gonna create this into a hole. And now what I'm gonna do is align these two, L, there, and there. I'm gonna move this down, and what that's gonna do is it's gonna give it some dimension. So right there, now you have what was essentially a block in an odd shape, and it's gonna curve it. See, so now I can rotate this. Let me go 90 degrees so I can see what I'm doing. And that was so close to 90. Alrighty then. Now I'm gonna move this up. And way too big. So I'm gonna have to shrink it. I'm gonna hit Shift, hold it down. I'm gonna go to about, say 14. Yeah. 14, and then move it over a little bit. Oops. Now I get to rotate it and play with these dimensions. Over 22.5. Let's try that. Might be a bit much. And move it up a little bit more. And then rotate it. Oh, you can't really see that, so let me undo. And not much. I guess 7's fine. Then I'll move it back. I want this thing to be sticking out. All right, so I'm gonna duplicate this, Control D, letter M out here. I'm gonna hit Shift, and there you go. Again, this right here can be adjusted depending on what you like. But there is our Marshmallow Man. It is cool. I need to move this down. I don't feel like it's missing something right about there. Okay. So there you go. That's how you make the Marshmallow Man. Of course, you can always adjust things to make it more fit what you would rather do. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check out my other videos. Have a great day.